see. Let's go ahead and get these math workshops out of the way since we're a little behind. Gentle reminder. So I do have over 50% of the test graded for this round. And if I really sat down and finished it, it would be totally possible. So far, I've had a couple A's, but I've also had a couple D's, and I've even had an F or two. So let me say, before I give you your first test back, I'm not the one who passes them all out. I do it the same way I did the quiz, where I hand you your quiz or your test, I hand you the key, and then you look it over. You don't have to make corrections. You don't have to do anything. I just want you to see what you did and see what my key says, and maybe you can put 2 and 2 together. And if not, you can always ask me a question like, hey, I don't understand how you got this when I got this, and I can try to help clarify. So I don't write that much on your paper because it takes time. Yes, dear.
You can make corrections before
So I knew that's what you were going to ask about. If you made a D or an F, and you want to come see me at bureau period tomorrow, we can work on something. If you're a D, we'll probably do corrections. If you're an F, we'll probably just say you were having a bad day, because it happens. We all have bad days. And we're just going to, here's a blank one, just try again. And I'll sit there near you, and you'll say, hey, and you just need me to sit by you. I understand. We all have those days. We all have those moments in our lives. Yours just came first test, and that's okay. Gentle reminder, though, and I'm not trying to be ugly, and I don't want you to leave me. I can already tell I love you all. And I don't think there's anyone in here that I think can't handle it. I think you all can. But Algebra 2 with Trig, even though it's not pre-AP, it is an advanced course. If you're not trying to go pretty fast after geometry, you got to drop down to connections. So just be ready to roll. Okay, I said that, and somehow since we got behind yesterday, we got to get back on track. So we got to go over these. Okay, I'm needing a volunteer for number 4. Yes, table 5. That was a fast hand. That's you.
8 squared minus 49.
Okay, perfect. Okay, reminder, we're trying to do this in our head. So it was 8 squared minus 7h plus 7h. The inner and the outer canceled out, and the last was minus 49. And table 5 can have a point for that. Yes, table 2, can you answer the next one? Y squared minus 1. Again, the outer and the inner ended up canceling out, and we ended up with just y squared minus 1. Are there any questions about 4 or 5? Okay. As for 6, 7, and 8, this is kind of a review of what we were talking about yesterday. You don't have to tell me the domain. You don't have to say range. You don't have to say 1 to 1 on 2, neither both. I just need function, not a function, and maybe a little explanation. Yes, dear? Table 1 gets their point. Number 7. Yes, Brady. Can you tell me why? Okay, so our issue is with that 8. It's being mapped to 2 and it's being mapped to 3. That's a problem. Not a function. And you can have a point for that. And then table 2, you want to handle at number 8. It is a function. There are no issues. Every input is going to exactly one output. That was perfect. We're going pretty fast today, and I'm sorry for that. Are there any questions about the math workshops? Okay, you're trying to be on it. You know 9 through 13 is coming up tomorrow at least. Might as well go ahead and handle those in your free time. And come in prepared the way you were today. That was good. We got people competing. That's good. Okay, yesterday we were talking about 1 to 1 and on to. And I believe, who helped me with the vocab term yesterday that was supposed to be relation? Landon, was it you?
I think it was me.
I think it was Landon. Okay, I thought so. Well, it was good that he reminded me of that, and then I actually paid attention to my life. So what we do is all the Algebra 2 trig teachers, we email around different tests, like, hey, how do you feel about number 5? And, eventually when we get the perfect test, we give it to you. So we are ahead of schedule, because we should be, and we're already emailing around the mid-chapter 2 tests. And you know what? The first couple questions are on the mid-chapter 2 test. Vocab questions. Just like this, with a blank and you need to put in the words. So I were you, I'd put a star and write myself a note. I need to know this for the mid-chapter 2 test. And Landon is right. That first blank needs to be the word relation. On the test, I'm looking for the word relation. Okay, meanwhile, brief review. 1-to-1, like with this example, if since 1 is going to D, nobody else can go to D. D is taken. 1-to-1 means our one input is going to our one output and nobody else is going to that same output. A vending machine would not be 1-to-1 because you put in 50 cents and I don't know for sure you're getting out a candy bar. You might be getting out chips or a candy bar. Okay, 1-to-1 is not as easy to spot as onto. Onto is super easy to spot. Is there a value in the range that doesn't have a buddy? Is there a value? That seems really easy to spot. And then the easiest to spot, which seems to never happen lately, is both. Both is like Noah's Ark. Everybody has a pair. We're all in pairs going on the ark. Okay, domain range you seem good with, except for that one table that didn't speak up yesterday, but they're going to get it together today. We stopped on vertical line tests, which your math teacher might have called the pencil test. I don't know if that helps you. Basically, you take a pencil, and when you're going across a function, if it touches it twice, it's not a function. So if I take my pencil and put it across the graph, as long as it's only touching at one point on the graph, we're good. But for instance, this second one is not a function. Because of this issue, my pencil is touching two spots at the same time. And heck, it fails it there, but it fails it at other locations too. It fails it here. It fails it back here. But it only has to fail it at one spot for it to not be a function. Not a function. Okay, so number 5 is now some points up, and we got a hand. Yes, dear?
It's not a function.
Why?
Because it touches the 2 points.
Okay, so right here we're touching the 2 points, and that's you get a point for that, and that's not a function. Okay, and then we get to the best, well, my favorite part of 2-1, which is evaluating a function. So evaluating means given these 2 examples. So they want to know f at -3. Well, everywhere we see x, we're going to put -3. So instead of 3 times x minus 5, we're going to have 3 times -3 minus 5. So what number am I going to end up with? And that's how your group gets point as well. Okay, so there's another point available for number 2. Can you go ahead and work number 2? We're using G this time, not F. It says G at 4, so everywhere in G you see an X, you need to put a 4. Yes, dear? It's 16 minus 8, which is indeed 8. She is correct. You had your hand up, dear. You were wanting to tell me the answer too? Yeah. Okay. You can have a point, Everest. Seriously, whatever they tell you in parentheses to plug in, you plug it in. So if they say F at cupcake, then your answer should be 3 cupcake minus 5. Everywhere you see an X, you replace it with whatever is in parentheses. I know, I made myself hungry. Okay, flip to the back. We are going to leave 5, 6, 7, and 8 for you, and you're going to be mad. Why are you mad at number 7 and 8? I need you to just deal with it. It actually works out really nicely, really quickly. Promise. It should. Okay. Okay, so from our front page, we had that f of x was 3x minus 5 as a reminder. So can someone tell me what f of a should be on number 3? Yes, dear?
3a minus 5.
And that's how your group gets another point. How many points are you all at? Travis, you want to handle the next one? In fact, everyone could try the next one. Travis, even though he's a genius, he might not tell me the correct answer I'm looking for. For the next one, it was g of x was x squared.
Yes, keep going.
Minus 2x.
Keep going, Andrew.
I'm waiting to hear an answer for someone from number 4.
Andrew got it. I might have it. 5x squared minus 10.
No.
Okay, yeah. Good job, man. Keep going after it. Keep hungry.
Anyone else have a different answer for number 4? Brady?
25 squared minus 10
And you can have a point. Okay, so on this one it's a little more complicated, and it requires those order of operations, which, let's face it, you're good at hard stuff, but order of operations is still something we got to work on. So we should square the 5, so 5 squared is 25, and yes, we should square the n, so we have n squared. And then negative 2 times 5 is negative 10n. Okay, so seriously, that's it for 2-1. The hardest part to me is identifying the one-to-one onto neither or both. The evaluating, is it a function, vertical line test, that part seems pretty straightforward, and I think you've practiced it before. Are there any questions about number 4? Okay, again, I'm going to leave 5 through 8 up to you. If you find some time today, you can go ahead and handle it. We're going to move on to 2-2. It's on the next page. The good news is that we're doing that perfect squares thing today, and I kind of forgot to mention until right now, so let's do that now. Have a brief pause with our brain. We're going to start at 12. What is 12 squared? What's 13 squared? 14 squared? 15 squared? 16 squared? Okay, if you're not sure, you got to get it together, because we got to practice one today on putting it in the 10%. 1 through 25 on Friday. 25 things going in the 60% category. So it's a 25-point thing in the 60% category. You got to get it together by Friday at the latest. Okay, we're not going to do it right this exact second. Just reminding you. Just reminding you. Yes, dear. The second sheet, that last one. Oh, of the perfect squares? Yeah, I made a copy. It's in the third picture. I wrote your name on everything. It's not handed to you. It's in the, yeah. Okay, so moving on to 2-2 next. Moving on to 2-2 notes. We're going to talk about linear functions, which you already like. So, the first part of this is talking about a linear relation. So, relations that have straight line graphs are called linear relations. If something's not linear, it's called nonlinear.
Heck yeah, you get a point for that? Yes.
And now you're going to stop asking because I know you're at the right amount. Okay, so an equation such as x plus y equals 5 is called a linear equation. A linear equation has no operations other than addition, subtraction, and multiplication with a variable by a constant. The variables may not be multiplied together or appear in a denominator. So, for instance, xy equals 2, not a linear equation. 2 divided by x plus y equals 7, not a linear equation. The next sentence even says a linear equation cannot have variables with exponents other than 1. So, x squared plus y equals 7, not a linear equation. And the graph of a linear equation is always a, and that's how you get your point table for it. It's always a line. Okay, so just like 2-1, the first part was identify a function, not a function. First part of 2-2 is we have to identify, is it linear or is it nonlinear? So since we're in a hurry, and I think you understood, there are some examples, if you want to read through them, you can, of like this one's not it because of the 2, this one's not it because they divided by x, but I'm going to leave those for you. The next thing says a linear function is a function with ordered pairs that satisfy a linear equation. And now to actually practice. We are given some examples. We need to decide, is this linear is it not linear? And if it's not linear, we're going to have to explain why. So let's go with number 1. Any volunteers for number 1? Yes, Travis. It is linear. And your group can have a point. Any volunteers for number 2? Yes, Landon. Why? Okay, and that's what I'm going to focus on. And I'm just going to do 2x in the denominator, but Landon can use other words other than mine. This is not English class, he does not do much win. So it's not linear because of that division by x. We cannot do that. Are there any questions on number 2? There is a question that comes to my mind, but I swear it'll be answered by the end of the example that you're holding in. Okay, the next one, number 3, says 3xy minus 4. Yes, table 2. Why?
Because x and y are trying to do
A linear function, and y we multiplied x and y. That was not a thing we could do. So you get a point for that. And now on to number 4, and it is a doozy. Travis, you want to handle it? Why? I agree. I just need you to tell me. Jessica, why?
Just because of no operation.
There are no operations. But if it was x equals 19, then we would say it's not a function. Because that looks like this. It's a line just like this at y equals 19. So really it's y equals 0, x plus 19. And so you put your intercept at 19 and you can't count the slope. It's really just a straight line across at 19. So yes, it is linear. And yes, we were trying to trick you on that one. Then we get to number 5. Also a hard one. How about I just default to you if no one else answers from here on out today? Okay.
Wait, no. Wait for a second before you.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to default to him when no one else
I want to
does.
get a 10 points today. We're on a mission.
Yes, table 2. Why?
Because
What are you mad at?
the X's.
You're mad at the x?
Yeah. Well,
She's mad at the fraction. Okay, I'm hoping for a little... Yes, dear.
I was going to say it is linear.
It is linear.
Because no, it's linear. What? Okay, it's linear because it's basically it's the same. It's still slope and stuff, or just in a different way.
Okay, and that's how your group gets a point. Okay, so right now, f of x is the same thing as y. So we actually have y equals 8 minus 3/4 x. If I rearrange this equation, because right now it's got the b first and then the m and the x. So if we rearranged it so Abby Grace liked it, if she saw negative 3/4 x plus 8, she would tell me that's linear. She knows to put the intercept at 8. She knows how to count down 3/4. So if you're confused, because trust me, let's be honest, our goal is to kind of trick you on some of them. So if you're confused and not sure, it's always a good idea to put it in y equals mx plus b. If it looks like a normal line and you know how to graph it, it's linear. If you're like, I don't know what to do with this, the x is in the denominator, this looks crazy, it's not linear. I got so many hands. I'm assuming it's for the last one? Okay. Are there any questions about number 5? I agree with Abby Grace. My gut was there's a fraction, but the fraction's okay because x is not in the denominator, y is not in the denominator, so it's not a problem. Okay, and then we get to number 6. Landon, how many points do y'all have?
2.
Okay, answer it.
Non-linear.
Why?
Because you can't have an x by that higher than 1. Yeah, good work.
Okay, and so not a linear function or non-linear would be even better. And it's got to do with that exponent.
The exponent of 1 is just the same number, isn't it?
Yeah, so y is understood to have an exponent of 1 right now. Because of the exponent. Because of exponent. No, it's kind of a blonde one. I should take the point away. Okay, so far so good. We have to decide linear or nonlinear. And if you get stuck, I put it in y equals mx plus b, and I ask myself, can I graph this? If the answer is no, it's nonlinear. If the answer is yes, it's linear. Okay, the other day during our math workshops, I told you I forgave you when you didn't know standard form. That was true for then. It's no longer true. We're now talking about standard form. Xavier needs to remember it from here on out. Standard form is one way we can write a linear equation. It's ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are integers, and they have a greatest common factor of 1. Okay, so what this means is, we'll get to that. Let's just go to our first one. Okay, so we've got to rearrange this equation. Right now it's not in standard form. If I subtract both sides by 4y, I would have 2x minus 4y equals negative 1. And why am I doing that? I'm trying to have it the x term, the y term, the number on the other side. That's standard form. Okay, so if I have to identify a, b, and c, my a is 2, my b is negative 4, my c is negative 1. Are there any questions on number 1?
That's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do. So you try number 2 and tell me what you get for a, b, and c. And if you say negative 2, you're wrong. Yes, dear.
Is it because you can't have a negative x?
You can't have a negative x. That is true. We'll write that down in just a second. So go ahead and fix it and get to the right answer. Okay, Travis. Okay, I think that's wrong. Landon.
Is it 2x minus 5 equals -3?
Minus 5 what? Yeah, he's erased. Will you tell me? Let's get you some points now. Let's do this.
I got 2x plus 5y.
Okay, but if we move the 2x over, shouldn't it be negative 2x plus 5y equals 3? And you can have a point if somebody from your group finally said words. Good. I need more words. Okay. I agree that that's what everyone did first. I agree with that. And then so my gut reaction was to say A is negative 2, B is 5, and C is 3. I get that. But I said these words yesterday, and you need to write them down today if you didn't remember, because you need to remember. There is a rule with standard form. A is a natural number. Now, God bless you. There are some in the room who are so thankful we're done with the Chapter 1 test because they cannot classify numbers. And that is going to be okay. What I mean is A is not negative. And A is not a fraction. So if you would rather put what I put in parentheses, because A is natural, does nothing for you, totally understand. So right now our A is negative, and that's a no-no. How can we fix it? Yes, dear.
Divide by negative 2x minus 5y equals -3.
And what did you technically do when you changed everyone's sign?
Divide everything by negative.
You could have divided by -1, or you could have also multiplied. I'm a multiplier. You could have also multiplied by -1. Okay? And I know you're like, Miss Compton, you're being ridiculous, but now we can identify that A, B, and C. Table 6. Get you another point. Tell me the A, B, and C.
A is
Uh-huh.
B is 5,
Negative 5.
C is -3.
Okay, perfect. And you can have a point.
It's complicated.
Yes, sir.
He doesn't have to set that.
You said 2x for A. And then I've done put him on reserve as he
I
knows.
did too.
Yeah, but she said 2x. Like, he meant -5, but he just said 5. People mean a lot of things. Okay, I'm going to leave number 3 to be your problem. Number 6 is also going to be your problem. Let's go to number 4. Why am I going to do number 4? You and the fractions. I knew that what was going to happen is if I left Xavier alone long enough, he's going to turn that into 0.75y equals 0.666x. And I just can't, I don't know. We're not doing that.
I wasn't about to comment on the fractions.
Okay, so, yes, dear.
I was going to say, okay. Why can A be negative? Why can't A be negative if we can?
It's a specific rule of standard form that the A has to be a positive regular number. It's terribly annoying, stupid standard form, but I swear it's useful in life. We're about to see in our next set of things about identifying the intercepts that actually standard form is super useful. Okay, number 4, hating on the fractions. Is there a number that I can multiply everybody by in order to get rid of those fractions? What'd you say? And Abby Grace got a group point. If we multiply everybody by 12, life is going to be so much better. Now, Abby Grace can clearly do some math in her head, so she might not have this line, but if you distribute, 12 times 3 is 36, so 36 over 4y. 12 times 2 is 24, so 24 over 3x. And then 5 times 12 is 60. But let's face it, Abby Grace could have done that in her head, and if all she had on her paper was 9y equals 8x plus 60, I'm not going to be mad at her. Yes, dear?
So if we make it, you won't get it right.
You wouldn't, and here's why. That one would work out fine because of the 0.75, but that one wouldn't work out well because it's 0.66666, and eventually you're going to say it's 0.67, and you've rounded, and your answer's going to be a little off. I know you're like, Miss Compton, chill out, but I'm telling you, you don't want that. Plus, 666 is devilish. You're not a devil. Okay, so go ahead and someone ready to tell me the A, B, and C in this problem? Yes, Jessica.
A is 8, B is -9, and C is
Is -9, and C is -60. I believe she's correct. Again, Miss Compton has to do more math than she should. So if I rearranged it, I would have -8x plus 9y equals 60. Can't have that A be negative. So I'll multiply by -1. And I get 8x minus 9y equals -60. If Jessica recognized that from here, because she did that rearranging in her head and knew A, B, and C, and she's confident, she doesn't have to show me all that. And then there's an even better suggestion of how I could save myself the sorrow and not have to do these last 2 lines. We could have done something different at the very beginning. For 2 points, what could we have done different at the very beginning? Yes, dear?
Oh, you could have rearranged it.
Cross multiply.
Okay, so table 1 is still not all the points today. The thing we could have done differently is at the beginning, if we didn't want to have to go through this negative mess at the end, why don't we make our lives easier and multiply by -12 to begin with? Maybe you're smart enough in your head and you realize when I moved that piece over, fraction and all, I was going to have -2/3 x plus 3/4 y. Like, hey, I was going to end up with a -x. So when I'm trying to fix everything to begin with, why not fix that negative sign and multiply by -12? That's genius. Okay, the last one we're going to work on this page is number 5. Why do you need me for number 5? There's no x. So what am I afraid you're going to put for x? What am I afraid? Not what's good. What am I afraid of? 9, or what is the other number you're going to think of putting? It's going to hurt my feelings. 0 is correct. 1. Somebody out there is going to put 1. Okay, so really, you have 5y equals 9. And then, to be honest, Miss Compton's a little blind, so I have to write in the 0x in front. Because then that makes my life easy. A is 0, B is 5. C is 9. Y equals, yes, it does. Yes, just straight. No, if it's like this, it would be x equals, and then it technically wouldn't be linear because it would fail that vertical line test. It would fail it all at one spot, but it'd be a major fail. Okay. Are there any questions about this? I swear there's one last thing, and then somehow you pulled off the miracle of you did all yesterday and today and still haven't died. Okay, clearly. So Miss Thompson is not a genius, okay? I tried copying a 20-page thing for you. Clearly, needless to say, something was bound to go wrong. This should not be the next page. The next page is actually on the back of that. My bad. So if you want to unstaple and re-hole punch and all that jazz, you can. All I'm going to do is put a note to myself at the top. This is really 2.2 notes. My bad. I did everything else right, I think.
So this is what we're really supposed to do.
That's what we're really going to do next. These 3. Yes. And you could, that's it. Yeah. If you want to untake it out and hole punch it the right way, totally get it. Okay, so, I know. So, yeah, I know people are going to have to fix it. The last thing we're doing today is actually something really easy that I doubt your teacher taught you in Algebra 1. I don't really know why, but it's really easy. So, I know DJ knows how to graph that line. He puts his intercept at 8. He counts down 4 over 1. I know he knows how to graph that line. No one disagrees with that. But on number 2, DJ's going to have to rearrange that equation from standard form, put it in y equals mx plus b. That's a lot of work for him to have to do. And so what I'm going to teach you is that there is a faster way for all of this. Okay, the faster way is to get 2 points. There are 2 points that we need. One is the x-intercept, and one is the y-intercept. It's really easy to get those 2 points. To get the x-intercept, all you have to do is you plug in 0 for y. And then to get the y-intercept, you plug in 0 for x. And that actually kind of makes sense, because if you think about where a y-intercept occurs, the ordered pair was 0, comma something anyway. So it makes sense that we're plugging in a 0. So anyway, for an x-intercept, plug in a 0 for y. For y-intercept, plug in a 0 for x. Saying all that, let's go to our number 1. If we plug in a 0 for x, we'll find out our y-intercept is what? Yes. So if you plug in a 0 for x, you would just have y equals 8. I agree. That x-intercept might take you another extra second. What would be the x-intercept? If you plug in a 0 for y.
It'll be 2. 4.
So if you plug in a 0 for y, you would have 0 equals negative 4x plus 8. So you would have negative 8 equals negative 4x. So it would be 2. He is correct. Again, he's doing this in his head, which is great. If you need to write it down, no one's mad about that. But to figure out that x-intercept, plug in a 0 for y, and then just solve for x. So my x-intercept is at 2. And then what's super cool is I genuinely can just plot those 2 points. So my x-intercept is at 2. My y-intercept, where we cross that y-axis, is at 8. And then darn, if you just try to do your best and connect those dots in a pretty way, we're done. That's it. Now again, when it's in y equals mx plus b, do I expect DJ to automatically think to use this trick? No. But it's super helpful on number 2 and 3 when we're in standard form. So look at number 2. Figure out the x and y intercept on number 2. Yes, dear. And someone's had their Wheaties and gets their extra point today. I love it when I'm wrong. I didn't graph well, did I? It should have been here. And I'm down to like a 98 on my test. Woohoo. Can't graph today. You should at least be at 3 points now, DJ, right? Okay. Okay, then maybe Miss Compton can do number 2 correctly. I need to know the y-intercepts. I need to know the x-intercepts. Yes, Sarah?
Y is going to be 4 and then X is going to be 6.
And that's how your group gets a point. Okay. Those of us frantically riding away. You're making life too complicated on this. Y-intercept is on what 0? What do I plug in for 0? You plug in x is 0. So cover up that x piece. You have 3y equals 12. That means y equals 4. Done. For the x-intercept, cover up that y piece. 2x equals 12. X equals 6. Done. Suddenly, standard form is actually useful because it tells me those intercepts lickety split. Cover up the thing you're not looking for. 2x equals 12. X equals 6. Life is so much faster. Okay, so my y, let's see if I can actually graph this time. My y-intercept is at 4. My x-intercept is at 6. I try my best to connect those dots well this time. And we're done. I don't know what they do. I think I did with my pre-APs. But none of y'all are my pre-AP babies, so I don't know. I'll have to ask Will if I taught him that or not. Okay, on number 3, I'm mad at something. What do we need to move over first? The 6. So add 6 to both sides first. I have 3x minus 4y equals 21. If you give me a decimal, I'm going to be mad. If you give me a decimal, I'm going to be mad. I need to know the x-intercept. I need to know the y-intercept. X is what? You can have a point. What is the y-intercept? It's negative, but yeah. And you can have your point. Again, you're making life too complicated. For the x-intercept, I cover up that y piece. I have 3x equals 21. So that means x equals 7. For the y-intercept, cover up the x piece. I have negative 4y equals 21. So y is 21 over negative 4, which it doesn't matter where you put that negative sign. Yes, dear. Okay, so I was going to ask for that, but because I, like you, don't know where 21 over 4 is. Okay, my x-intercept is at 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. My y-intercept is somewhere between 5 and 6. Closer to 5 than it is to 6. I connect the dots, and I call it a day.
Yo.
Are there any questions about those? Then God bless you. Clean off your desk. You don't need anything but a pencil. You're going to do the perfect squares first, and then I'm going to hand you the checkpoint to say, if you can go ahead and get it done, good for you.
Well, we can't get it.
You're that good. It's that fast. I have that much patience. Don't flip it over yet. Don't flip it over yet. Pass it out. Don't flip it over yet. You know I can't do it. You can do hard things. Don't flip it over yet.
Oh, what number is this? 1 through 12?
1 through 16.
16.
Don't flip it over yet. Okay, let's see.
Oh, I put it on.